In keeping with my constant obsession these days with exploring the deepest recesses of introverted intuition, I want to talk today about the phenomenon of NI fusion. What is NI fusion? Why do I think it is important? And what can it tell us about the INFJ experience and also the INTJ experience? NI fusion is, as its name may indicate, the encounter between two NI worlds. When people talk, right? When you talk to someone, when you engage in some kind of, prolonged conversation, you're not just engaging with the person from consciousness to consciousness, bidirectionally, your consciousness meeting their consciousness, your language meeting their language. I mean, of course, this is happening, but there is something that is happening at the back as well, something that is not directly, expressed, right? Something that is not directly conscious. Indeed, since we're talking about unconscious, an encounter between two people is an encounter between two conscious minds, but it's also an encounter between two unconsciouses, right? You're unconscious and the unconscious of the other person. In a sense, it follows the blueprint of what people describe about psychoanalysis, about analysis, where transference and counter-transference intervene, right? The idea of transference is that the analysand, the client, if you like, or the patient, projects onto the analyst and the relationship with the analyst elements from their past, and particularly the relationship with people that are still emotionally affecting them in all kinds of ways. And the analyst is doing that too in relationship to their analysand or client. But the idea, and that's transference and countertransference, but the idea, or the basic notion, is that transference and countertransference are not limited to the analytic setting, they're not limited to the therapeutic setting. Transference and countertransference are happening as soon as there is an interaction between two people. And the only difference is that in analysis, the analyst, having been thoroughly trained and analyzed himself or herself, the analyst is able to manage his or her countertransference for the benefit of the analytic relationship and ultimately for the benefit of the client's individuation. But there is always transference and countertransference. It is going to happen between two NI dominants, right? Since it's going to happen with, between two people anyway, it certainly is going to happen between two NI dominants. Now, if it's going to happen between two NI dominants, it means that what the encounter is going to be staging at the back of just a regular conversation is a kind of conversation, metaphorical, metonymical, imagistic, digressive, and so forth, between my NI world and the other person's NI world. This encounter is sometimes dreaded by some NI dominants because they feel like there is a risk of being engulfed by the other person's NI world. So you understand, there is a sense in which this is both exciting because it holds out the prospect of genuine connection, the deepest kind of understanding you can reach with a person who can truly understand you, because there's so much that's structurally shared by you and them. But there's a phenomenon of engulfment is something that is kind of in the background as well. This idea that what if there is so much similarity that the encounter between my unconscious and their unconscious leads to the absorption of my unconscious by theirs or vice versa. So that there will be a loss of unicity, that there will be a loss of individuality, right? That it would be all for merging. Merging here is a big theme. And a desire for merging, which has very strong early childhood connotations of the relationship with the maternal parent. It's very important in relation to NI, you should never forget that. So there is the excitement and desire to do just that, combined with the concern that merging would mean engulfment. And that's what you might describe as the first stage of NI fusion. It's how it is experienced in anticipation of the actual, if you like, of the actual progress of the encounter. It begins with this ambivalence between the two NI dominants, and then usually on the part of one and the other NI dominant. This ambivalence between a desire to go further into the interaction and an opposing desire, if you like, to kind of step back, draw back, preserve one's individuality, preserve one's individuation. Now, what I want to say in this particular video is that NI fusion in its more mature form is a way of understanding that what is going to be inevitably the outcome of this encounter, if it is, systematically invested, sustainably invested, is not going to be engulfment. It's understandable that this is a fear, but it is a fear that can be overcome, okay? And this fear, once it is overcome, can allow the encounter and the meeting point between the two unconsciouses, the two NI worlds, to lead to the creation of a third NI world. An NI world that is not personal. It's not your NI world, and it's not the other person's NI world. It is a more abstract, disembodied, but nevertheless potentially individuating NI world. The whole question whether we are justified in calling it an NI world will be the topic of my next video. Okay, so hopefully I stimulated some thoughts and made you keen on checking out my next video, guys. Don't forget that I have written books about the INFJ that you might be interested to check out. The Infinite Soul being my latest one, INFJ Life in a Modern World, on how INFJs can find meaning, purpose, and value in a world that they often consider quite hostile. If you want to know more about this, check the first link. It's helped people. And it's well reviewed. Check the reviews. They might make you want to check it out. Its prequel that you might be familiar with is the Ecstatic Soul, a new look at the INFJ personality, which is the deepest investigation of the INFJ mind that you can find online. Interested? Check the links below. And finally, guys, don't forget that the lifeblood of my channel is my Patreon page. I very much depend on your kind donations to keep going with this video content. So if you're so inclined, you're able to do that. I could not do it without you. Check my Patreon link below, and don't forget that you get access to some cool perks too, such as access to our elite Discord server, The Fourfold, as well as a bonus video every 2-3 weeks on a topic of your choosing by myself. If this sounds interesting, check the link, and I see you tomorrow, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.